and there's nothing more important for us to deal with our kids. That's why I want to say thank you to Catherine for her members bill, which has put the wheels into motion. I want to say thank you to the group of Before 16 who are concerned parents and parenting experts. And I also want to say thank you to Erica Stanford, who's going to be our lead minister now, taking the work forward from here as we shape to get a government bill in place so that we can actually expedite and speed up our legislation to support a ban on social media for under 16s. With that, happy to take your questions.
Can you just explain?
Sorry for the sound.
Yeah. Can you just explain so the public understands what difference does it make to the potential passage of a proposal like this to move from a private members' bill to a potential government bill?
Yeah, look, Catherine's prepared what we call a members' bill. That goes into what's famously called the biscuit tin and can get drawn out at different times through the parliamentary year. What we're talking about is taking that bill and building on that bill to make it a government bill so that it is actually our government that's introducing that legislation and that bill. And that's the work that Erica will lead for us now and come back with a bill that will then be able to take back to Cabinet and then introduce into the Parliament. It will go through 3 readings and then ultimately become a law.
And why decide to shift from one to the other?
Well, it's just that I want to make sure this is a really important issue. You know, I talk to parents, I talk to teachers, I talk to principals, and they are all struggling with actually the harm that social media is causing our kids. And when you're under the age of 16, you don't have protections in place. We have protections for under 16s in the physical world, but we don't have them in the online world. And so many other countries are starting to look at this issue and take it very seriously. Erica's going to look at what other jurisdictions are doing and then pull together a bill for New Zealand that I would like to think that we have in law before the end of the term.
Early days like that, earlier actors said they did not support a ban. On the other hand, Labour said they would broadly open to it. What's your latest assessment of this likely support in the Parliament?
Look, I think there'll be good support across the Parliament. This is not a political issue. This is a New Zealand issue. This is about our parents and actually empowering them by giving our kids protection. And so I don't see it as a political issue. I see it as a New Zealand issue. And so I will be reaching out, and Erica and I both will be reaching out to leaders of all political parties because I think it's in all of our kids' interests, irrespective of how their parents vote, that we actually get this job done and we protect our kids online.
One last Prime Minister, you previously mentioned you're looking across the Tasman, what the Aussies are doing. So what's the timeline likely for this proposal now?
Well, there's obviously what the Australians have done or introduced, but there's also work that's gone on in the UK and Canada and the EU. You would have seen different states across the USA have got different work in place as well. I know Erica and I want to, actually look at all of the work and actually assemble a bill that's right for us here in New Zealand, and we'll go forward on that basis. But the Australian legislation is a good starting point, but we also need to look at other jurisdictions as well.
That doesn't happen until December, does it? It's at least until then?
Well, no, we get going now. That's why Erica's been appointed today, so that we can actually get the work underway. And I want this to be law before the end of our term. Yep.
David Seymour originally described the proposal as hastily drafted. He's here today. What sort of conversations do we have with him since Tuesday?
Look, I mean, I know he's had a position on the bill and he's entitled to do that. I think it's good that he is here today to actually hear from the community and hear from concerned parents, so good on him for showing up. But again, as I said, we'll lead the work through the Parliament. We'll put together a government bill and we'll look to involve as many political leaders as we possibly can.
There's about 200 odd people here today. Can you talk to us a bit about the public appetite for a proposal like this?
Yeah, look, I mean, Catherine, Erica and I, we've been inundated with principals and teachers and parents deeply concerned about the harm that their children are experiencing on social media. And you see it manifest itself with social media addiction. They're exposed to inappropriate content, and as a result, and there's a lot of cyberbullying going on as well. And we heard some pretty powerful accounts from young people today, and in other parts of our conversations as well, who actually are asking for us to step in and put some guidelines and some control around this. The parents have a responsibility, but so too do social media companies. They have a social responsibility to make sure they're doing everything they can to make sure there are age restrictions in place and that inappropriate content is not going to our kids.
You mentioned it just before, but Chris Hipkins has said that he broadly supports the proposal. There are two Labour MPs here, I understand. Talk to us a bit about the bipartisan support for a bill like this and what it will mean to get it over the line.
Well, as I said, this isn't a political issue, it's a Kiwi issue, it's a New Zealand issue. And irrespective of how our kids' parents vote, that's not what this is about. This is about us saying, look, we have restrictions for our kids in the physical world, but we don't have restrictions for them in the online or the virtual world. And so we know that while their brains are developing, we need to have some checks and balances in the system, and actually restricting social media use for under 16 is entirely appropriate. So I genuinely hope that we can get other political parties on board with the bill and get this thing done, make it law, and get the benefit out to our families and to our kids.
Apologies if you've already answered this, I've just missed it.
Sorry, mate.
But being here in person, hearing some of these stories, how much has that sort of lifted addressing this issue as a sort of a priority for your government?
Well, I mean, I think for all three of us, Catherine, Erica and myself, we've been travelling in this world and hearing these stories now for some time. And that's why I want to commend Catherine for her members' bill, because she's done the work over the last 12 to 18 months on this issue, taken the National Party through that conversation incredibly well. And now we want to use that as the starting point and the leaping off point for Erica to now build this out into a government bill and then take it into Cabinet. So this is an issue that I've been concerned about since 2018, that I understand well the pressures, and I think this is the right move for New Zealand.
And just why did National decline Act's wish for a second independent review?
Sorry, on what?
A second independent review?
On a different topic. We're talking about firearms, because we're interested in maintaining public safety. And as I've said time and time again, when it comes to firearms, we as a government, me personally, our cabinet, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to enhance public safety, and we didn't think that was necessary at all.
So you do think it does improve public safety? That's the main.
Well, I think the firearms registry has been good for public safety, and there's been good adoption of it. But obviously, we had a difference of opinion around that. But equally, that's why it didn't go through in the way that it was proposed.
The Act said that there are large gaps in the review analysis, and it breaches coalition agreement. What's your response on that?
I totally disagree. We just disagree on the approach. And as I said, myself and all of our cabinet ministers, we are very determined to make sure we're enhancing public safety. And so, that's why we made the decisions that we made as a cabinet. I appreciate they haven't agreed to disagree on it, and they're free to do so and to differentiate their position on it. But from a government perspective, it's not happening.
This morning, Chris Bishop and Mark Mitchell announced new legislation targeting boy racers and homosexual behaviour on the roads. How big of a priority is that for you?
Yeah, look, communities are sick of it. They're sick of the antisocial behaviour and the dangerous driving that they see in communities up and down New Zealand. And so what we're doing is we're making an intervention. If you get a conviction, we are going to destroy or confiscate your car. You are going to get levelled with more fines from the police, but also from the courts, really substantive fines. And importantly, we're giving the police the powers they need to actually make sure they can stop that illegal street activity happening. So, look, the communities are over it. We want people to be safe on our roads, and we don't need dangerous idiots doing stupid things.
The Labour Party sort of shot back. They've said it's a distraction from changes to pay equity laws earlier this week. What's your response to that?
I totally disagree. Our position as a government is we're deeply committed to pay equity and eliminating sex-based discrimination in the workforce. I think the Labour Party, I think the media, I think the opposition in general have been actually quite disingenuous. A lot of scaremongering that's gone on there. We are talking about equal pay, which has not changed. We're talking about pay parity, which has not changed, and pay equity is a piece of that conversation, and all we're doing is making sure the system is more robust, sustainable and workable.
There's a lot of focus in the new legislation about fleeing drivers from police, despite police not changing the protocols of no high-speed pursuits. Do you think that needs to change to marry the two legislative action?
Well, look, that'll be a decision for the police, and as you know, they now have a government that's backing the police. So if they think there's more that they need, we're very open to supporting them with that ask. But for right now, what we need to do is the communities have had a guts full of it. We need to make sure there are some tougher consequences for antisocial driving and dangerous driving. Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it.